recycling, and safe disposal. We must go beyond the traditional approach of simply collecting waste and taking it to a disposal site. Greater emphasis must be placed on waste prevention, segregation, reuse, recycling, and recovery. Waste should not always be viewed as something to be thrown away. With a high technology and investment, waste can become a resource that creates jobs, supports entrepreneurship, and drives innovation. Distinguished guests, sanitation is also fundamentally about attitudes and behavioral change. We cannot build enough drains to compensate for the irresponsible environmental practices. We cannot expect our communities to remain clean if people continue to dump refuse into drains, streets, and open spaces. Every resident must therefore take responsibility for the environment. Households, businesses, schools, churches, mosques, markets, and other institutions must make cleanliness part of their everyday activity, not something reserved for special cleanup exercises. Our traditional and religious leaders, assembly members, community leaders, civil society organizations, and the media have a critical role in changing attitudes, promoting responsibility, and promoting responsible environmental behavior. Cleanliness must become a culture. Citizens should not wait for government to announce a special sanitation day before they clean their surroundings. The responsibility begins with each of us in our homes, workplaces, and communities. We must also confront the practical challenges before us. The Accra sanitation situation continues to be affected by inadequate disposal sites, inadequate transfer stations, inadequate logistics, and inadequate service providers. Ladies and gentlemen, these challenges require decisive actions, stronger coordination, and better investment. I therefore believe we should enhance and embrace a simple but powerful principle. A clean Greater Accra is a shared responsibility. This principle should guide our actions through 5 key pillars. Firstly, prevention. We must reduce the amount of waste we generate and prevent indiscriminate disposals. The cleanest waste is waste that is never created. Every household, business, and institutions has a role to play in reducing unnecessary waste. Secondly, collection. We must ensure reliable, equitable, and effective waste collection across our communities. No community should be left behind because of inadequate collection systems. Thirdly, recovery. We must promote recycling, reuse, compositing, and other forms of resource recovery. This will reduce pressure on disposal facilities while creating opportunities for employment, enterprise, and innovation. Fourthly, enforcement. Sanitation laws and bylaws must be respected. Environmental health officers and other authorized institutions must enforce the law fairly, consistently, and without fear or favor. And last but not the least, fifth, behavioral change. We must make environmental cleanliness a sustained responsibility of every household, business, institution, and communities. Infrastructure alone will not solve our sanitation problem if our attitudes remain unchanged. These 5 pillars should guide our collective effort towards a clean Greater Accra. Going forward, we need stronger coordination among the Regional Coordinating Council, MMDAs, private waste management companies, traditional authorities, community organizations, civil society, and other relevant institutions. We also need better data. We must know how much waste is generated, how much is collected, where the gaps exist, how many illegal dumping sites have been identified and cleared, how many premises have been inspected, and how many sanitation offenses have been detected and addressed. What we measure, we can manage. What we manage, we can improve. We must invest in infrastructure. We must invest in the infrastructure required to support our actions and ambitions. This includes adequate waste storage, containers, transfer facilities, recycling and recovery facilities, appropriate disposal facilities, public toilets, drainage infrastructure, and safe fiscal solid management facilities. Government has dedicated and allocated additional funds under the DACF, the District Assembly Common Fund, to support environmental and sanitation activities. Furthermore, sanitation is a major indicator under the 2026 performance contract signed by MMDCs. This means there cannot be no excuse for persistent or poor performance. Where necessary, resource and responsibility have been provided, our assemblies must rise to the challenge and deliver. We must also pay attention and greater attention to household toilet provision and safe management of our sanitation facilities. A modern and rapidly enhancing region cannot afford to normalize open defecation or unsafe disposal of human waste. Our sanitation plans must therefore be practical, measurable, and regularly monitored. We must move from promises to performance, from campaigns to systems, and from reaction to prevention. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the sanitation challenge before us is significant, but it is not unsurmountable. Greater Accra has the human resource institution. Greater Accra has the human resource institutions, private sector capacity, and community leadership requisite for meaningful progress. What we need is a sustained commitment, stronger coordination, and the courage to change both our systems and our behavior. Let us move away from the mindset that sanitation is the sole responsibility of government. Let us move away from a culture of simply disposing of waste and towards a culture of prevention, recovery, responsible disposal, and environmental stewardship. Let us build communities where cleanliness is not something we practice only when campaigns are announced, but something we practice every single day. And let us remember that the Greater Accra we build today is the Greater Accra we hand over to the next generation. They deserve a region that is clean. They deserve a region that is healthier, safer, and more sustaining than the one we inherited. In conclusion, Nana Chama. Ladies and gentlemen, Tackling poor sanitation in Greater Accra will require the effort of all of us. Government must lead the way, the assemblies must deliver, the private sector must invest and innovate, traditional, religious, and community leaders must mobilize, civil society and the media must educate and hold us accountable as citizens, and citizens must take responsibility. Cleanliness must be achieved. Cleanliness cannot be achieved by government alone. It must become a shared value and a shared responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, as I take my seat, as we deliberate on the sanitation challenge facing our region, let us submit ourselves not merely to discussions, but to physical and practical actions. Let us build a Greater Accra where waste is properly managed, drains are kept clean, public spaces are cleared, sanitation laws are respected, and every citizen understands that individual actions have consequences for the well-being of all the entire region. Ladies and gentlemen, I assure you that the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council remains committed to working with all stakeholders to improve sanitation across the region. Let us enforce, let this conference make and mark not just another gathering to discuss and lament our sanitation challenges, but a renewed commitment to action. Representative of the government chair, Director, Metro, the Ignite Media Group, religious leaders. Let us, from this conference also, not just another gathering to discuss and lament our sanitation challenges, but a renewed commitment to action. Together we'll build a cleaner, healthier, safer, and more sustained Greater Accra for us all. Thank you for your attention. God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong, and God bless the Greater Accra region. I stand in for the regional minister, and God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Baja has just told us everybody is accountable. We have less than 3 years. We have less than 4 years to go on the SDGs. Please indulge me. Indulge me as I invite 4 more institutions. Every one of them, I'm the headmistress here. Every one of them is come to give a goodwill message of 1.3 seconds. Okay, 1 minute, 3 seconds. I've been very generous now. And so I'll call Zoom Lion, I'll call ESPA, I'll call Contract Cleaners Association, and then I'll call Appointed Time. In that order. Zoom Lion. Mind you, when I walk my beautiful self on the stage, it just means it's time. 1 minute, please, let's all count. 1 minute, 3 seconds.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon. Nana Chairman, the rep for Regional Minister, Honorable, traditional and religious leaders, representatives from private sector, the academia present, colleagues in the environmental sanitation industry, distinguished members from the media, ladies and gentlemen. It is a real privilege to join you for the Ghana Sanitation and Clean Environment Conference 2026. On behalf of the board, management, and staff of Zoom Lion Ghana Limited, I wish to commend Ignite Media Group and its partners for creating this platform to deepen the national conversation on sanitation and environmental sustainability. As we assess Ghana's progress towards the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, particularly those relating to sustainable cities, communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, and clean water, we must recognize that state of our environment and sanitation remains a critical measure to how far we have come and how much further we still have to go. The very composition of this conference recognizes that reality. Government, metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies, development partners, waste management companies, environmental organizations, academia, the media, and communities have all been brought together around a common national purpose. That purpose is simply but profound: to build a cleaner, healthier, and more sustainable Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, sanitation must no longer be considered simply as collection and disposal of waste or refuse. It is fundamentally a public health, environmental, economic, and development issue. When waste is indiscriminately disposed into drains, gutters, waterways, and public space, the consequence eventually returns to us through flooding, environmental pollution, disease risk, and the enormous cost to repeatedly cleaning our communities. We therefore need to change the national conversation from simply cleaning Ghana to keeping Ghana clean. We can develop thousands of waste bins, waste collection trucks. We can build treatment plants and organize cleanup exercise. All these interventions are necessary, but none of them on their own would deliver a sustainable solution if our relationship with waste remains unchanged. The sustainable solution: infrastructure, technology, effective regulation, enforcement, public education, and responsible citizenship. Every institution and business must understand the generation of waste is linked with the responsibility of managing the waste. Distinguished guests, there is also an increasingly important connection between sanitation and climate resilience. As our cities expand and climate pressure intensify, we must pay greater attention to the relationship between waste management, drainage systems, flooding, and urban resilience. A plastic bottle carelessly thrown into the gutter may appear insignificant, but when that action is repeated by thousands of people every day across our communities and cities, the cumulative effect becomes a national environmental challenge. Climate resilience, therefore, is not built only through major infrastructural projects. It is also built through the daily environmental choices of citizens, businesses, institutions. This is why this conference emphasizes on responsible production is equally important. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this is also where the media becomes very important in our quest to laud the sanitation principles. People must understand why only that indiscriminate dumping is wrong, but also why their individual actions affect public health, flooding, environmental qualities, and national expenditure. Sanitation education must therefore move beyond occasional campaigns. It must become continuous, and I wish to emphasize this point. Our radio and TV stations, schools, churches, mosques, traditional authorities, social media platforms, and communities, organizations must keep making environment responsibility part of our national culture. This is the reason why Zoomlion welcomes the opportunity to partner with the Ignite group for this agenda. The media organizations bring something particularly powerful to the sanitation agenda, the ability to communicate repeatedly with millions of people and influence attitudes over time. Zoom Lion brings practical experience in waste management and environmental sanitation, where Ignite brings communication, platforms, and audience. Whilst the government provides policy leadership, the local authorities provide community-level governance and law enforcement. When these strengths comes together, we can bring to achieve the collective action envisaged by this conference. But the bigger question is, what happens after we do cleanup exercises? What happens after we have cleaned? Do we return the following week and find the same gutters choked with waste or not? Do we clean today and later tomorrow? Or does the exercise become an opportunity to change attitude and establish a new culture of environmental responsibility? Ladies and gentlemen, Ignite Media Group's invitation to Zoom Lion Ghana Limited is not only to participate in this conference, but to partner in advancing its sanitation objectives. As Ghana's leading integrated waste management company, we recognize that our responsibility is beyond collecting and managing waste. We have contribute our experience, infrastructure, innovation, and voice to the broader national effort to build cleaner and more sustainable. Together with the Ignite Group, the government, local authorities, industries, communities, and every Ghanaian, we can build a clean, healthy, sustainable, and climate-resilient Ghana we all desire. Thank you, and God bless our home in Ghana.
You know, sometimes some students are just stubborn. This particular one, Zoom Lion, is a stubborn student. So headmistress can't do anything because Zoom Lion is partnering Ignite Media. So Zoom Lion, but subsequent speakers, I will be very strict on you. Media, you need to help me up there because I saw a few young people who represent the next generation leaving, and I'm upset about that a little bit. But the messages, each message we are hearing here from a different perspective, very important. And so, do you all realize something? That the SDG on gender has been missing in this SDG conference? That I've been the only female standing here and talking? How? Mr. von Backenstein, Ignite Media. So the next few speakers who would stick to just 1 minute are going to be female. Let's invite Madame Ama Entry of ESPA. You have to clap for her. All the service providers, she's the executive director representing them. Madame, make us proud.
Good afternoon. Standing on existing protocols, ni ofada minga we nanan munyina. It is a great honor to stand before you today to speak on the subject that touches every Ghanaian, every community, and indeed the future of our nation. Towards a clean Ghana, collective action for sustainable cities, responsible production, and climate resilience. A clean Ghana is not simply about clean streets and attractive communities. It's about building a nation where people live in healthy environments, where our rivers and natural resources are protected, our cities are well planned, and our waste is responsibly managed. Our industries produce sustainably, and our communities are resilient to climate change. Ghana's rapid urbanization, population growth, and changing consumption patterns are generating ever-increasing quantities of solid waste, plastics, wastewater, and other pollutants. Poor waste management has left us with blocked drains, recurring floods, polluted water bodies, open burning, and contaminated groundwater. Let us be clear, these are not merely sanitation problems. They are public health, economic, environmental, and climate challenges, and they demand urgent, coordinated action. Effective waste management must become an integral part of Ghana's sustainable development and climate resilience agenda. Our cities require reliable systems for collection, transportation, treatment, recycling, composting, resource recovery, and safe disposal. At the same time, Ghana must go beyond the traditional take and make dispose. This is not the government tax alone. It calls for responsible production and consumption throughout our economy. Industries must reduce waste, improve resource efficiency, and take greater responsibility for the environmental impacts of their products. Packaging. Consumers, in turn, must adopt responsible habits, reducing waste, reusing materials, separating, and recycling. Climate change raises the stakes further. Poorly managed waste worsen flooding, pollutes water bodies, degrades ecosystem, and adds to greenhouse gas emissions. Building a clean and a resilient Ghana requires every actor to play its part. Government must provide effective policies, regulations, infrastructure, and sustainable financing. Metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies must strengthen sanitation planning, service delivery, and enforcement of sanitation bylaws. Waste management companies, we are improving on efficiency, innovation, and environmental performance. Industries must embrace responsible production and circular economic principles. Civil societies, our traditional leaders, religious leaders, schools, universities, the media, and the development partners must continue to educate, mobilize, and advocate. And most importantly, every citizen has a role to play. Keeping Ghana clean cannot be the responsibility of government or waste management companies alone. It demands a genuine shift in attitudes and behavior, from indiscriminate dumping of responsible dumping, from waste generation to waste reduction, and from seeing waste as a burden to recognizing it as a resource. The sector is also an engine of opportunity. Recycling, composting, recovering, green manufacturing, and waste-to-resource initiatives can create jobs, promote entrepreneurship, and generate sustainable livelihoods, particularly for the young people and women. Treated well, our waste can become one of our best under-reused economic assets. Call to action. We must make cleanliness a national culture. Let us reduce littering and indiscriminate dumping. Separate waste at source. Invest in recycling. Strengthen sanitary landfill management. Promote responsible production and consumption. Integrate waste management into climate resilience planning. strengthen environmental education and enforcement. The Ghana we want tomorrow depends on the decisions we make today. Our children deserve to inherit clean rivers, healthy communities, green spaces, and a safe environment. A Ghana where development and environmental protection go hand in hand. A clean Ghana is possible. A sustainable Ghana is possible. A climate resilient Ghana is possible. But achieving this vision takes more than policies and programs. It takes a national movement built on responsibility, partnership, innovation, investment, and collective action. Let us act today to transform our communities, our waste management system, our production and consumption patterns, our relationship with our environment. Together, we can build a cleaner Ghana. Together, we can build sustainable cities. Together, we can create a secular and responsible economy. Together, we can build a climate resilient nation. The future is in our hands. Let us act now for Ghana, for our communities, for our environment, and for generations yet unborn. Long live Ghana, long live a clean Ghana, sustainable and a climate resilient Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you, my sister. Thank you. Women in leadership. We must promote women in leadership. SDG 5. So as I promised you, the last few goodwill messages will be from the Merco for we are here. So make room for us. You see, we reserve the best for last. I'm going to call now Madame Jacqueline. This is Jacqueline Afo, Managing Director of Appointed Time Printing. Let's give it up for them. I saw you clapping for the men. Clap for the women.
Thank you very much, Doc. Because hard pressed, I want to stand on the existing protocol and also add my calls on sanitation. I want to speak on behalf of the manufacturing sector because I come from printing, Appointed Time Printing Limited. And our emphasis is on responsible production. Ladies and gentlemen, without water, our machines cannot run. Our machines run on water and mix together with ink, and that is what we print. On the SDGs 6, clean water, ladies and gentlemen, this forum is appropriate. As I walk through our factory floor every morning, and I look at the mixture of the ink and the water and all the other chemicals run through the machine. Ladies and gentlemen, one or two reasons our actions contribute to land pollution, water pollution, and air pollution. When he was speaking, he said the Kole is crying. I also want to ask each and every one of us here, if the Kole is crying, then what is your body also doing? Your body is also crying more because of our actions and what it tends to. So let me take this opportunity to entreat each and every one of us, especially for those in the manufacturing sector, by how we dispose of our waste and do it properly. Thank you very much.
Some of the students, they are excellent. This student will give an A or B. Some people are saying A+. We like it. Not the other A+. This A+, right? Yes. We'll get to the next one who has also promised to get A++. So we are measuring. Faustina Derry, Head of Communications from National Health Insurance Authority. Please clap for her. You clap for the men. She said we should add clap it.
Yes. Thank you very much. Permit me to go beyond her time because I have been sent by my Chief Executive Officer. Distinguished guests, Permit me to also stand on the existing protocols because of time. I bring you warm greetings from the Chief Executive Officer of the National Health Insurance Authority, Dr. Victor Asari Bampo. We at National Health Insurance, we believe that keeping our environment clean is all it is when it comes to health care. By rallying around clean environments, we are directly investing in preventive health care. Clean streets, safe water, and proper waste management serve as primary lines of defense. Improving environmental sanitation reduces national disease burdens, lowers medical costs, and significantly eases financial pressure on the National Health Insurance Scheme. This partnership here today directly at this Agenda 2030, specifically UN Sustainable Development Goal 6 on clean water and sanitation, SDG 3 on good health and well-being. We commend Ignat's Group and the Office of the Chief of Staff for organizing this conference and leading tomorrow's cleanup exercise. To maximize the health benefits of our staff, our CEO and management also introduced an aerobics and physical fitness season for all staff across the nation. We believe that keeping our environment clean and keeping our bodies physically active are the twin pillars of preventive health care. Under the leadership of our CEO, and backed by our dedicated staff across every district and region in Ghana, the National Health Insurance Authority has taken the President's vision that is cleaning Ghana every month a step further. We have officially adopted general cleaning as an institutional monthly policy nationwide. Every month, our staff assemble across the country to clean our office surroundings and immediate communities. At the National Health Insurance Authority, our core mandate is to ensure equitable access to quality health care for every Ghanaian. While our work often centers on financing clinical care, we recognize a fundamental reality, and that is healthcare delivery begins long before a patient enters the clinic. When sanitation breaks down, preventable illness from malaria to cholera spread rapidly throughout our communities. This places a heavy physical toll on citizens, overburdens our health facilities, and dramatically inflates health spending. This is why we deem it fit to partner Ignite for this great and healthy cause. We at National Health Insurance promise to commit our resources and our energy to support this great cause. We commend Ignite Media again for tomorrow's cleanup exercise across the principal streets of Accra, and we promise that we are going to join with our team. Thank you, and let us work together towards a cleaner, healthier Ghana. To end my speech, I will urge all of us, if you are here and you do not have your National Health Insurance card, we have a stand outside. Kindly walk to the stand and get registered. And if your membership is expired, go to the stand, they will renew it for you. Or you can dial *929#. *929#. You don't need to go and queue. You just have to sit in your comfort home and register. Your health insurance card is your access to free quality healthcare delivery. Thank you.
So on the grading, A+++. I had F. I'm not going to say that. But let's not forget star 929 hash. Star 929 hash. National health insurance. Basic health is good. Health is wealth. Last but not the least, this one, she's promised me that she can do it in 50 seconds. Diana Tanihu, Executive Secretary, Contract Cleaners Association of Ghana. Diana, I'm giving you pressure. Don't fail me. She's representing the women's dimension of sustainability, of sanitation, of everything SDG. Let's clap for her. You see, she's wearing green trousers.
Thank you. And permit me to also stand on earlier protocols. Under the pressure that I've been given, I'll try and do my best. Okay. I realize most of you don't know about the association, but CCAG is a body for cleaning service providers, suppliers, manufacturers of cleaning-related products. When the Chief of Staff was speaking, he threw a challenge to all of us. He mentioned that it's about time institutions take up streets, state installations, and clean. And for us, I think we've been ahead of that. Can you all remember the COVID-19 situation we had worldwide? As an association, we took it up upon ourselves, and for 2 years, okay, we cleaned the Ghana Infectious Disease Center, and I'm sure most dignitaries who found their way there can attest to the excellence and professionalism they experienced in that center. I also like to pose a question to us. Today is about pragmatic measures and not talk show. What we think of cleaning, what comes to our mind? In our homes, is it something we look at as punishment? Because sometimes the mindset we have about something determines the way we approach it. As an association who take up this task to do in our homes, schools, hospitals, communities, we realize that the way we look at cleaning affects the way we respond to it. How many of us are willing to pay for cleaning services? And how many of us, look down upon the cleaning service provider? This is where I want to draw attention. All this talk we're having here, if right from our homes, right from our offices, right from our state institutions, we don't look at cleaning as something that is pivotal to the development of our nation and give it the needed attention, we will go back and still look down upon the cleaner and still not be willing to give or to even pay for the services of cleaning. So I want us to live here with a mindset change that cleaning is not an undervalued profession. A cleaner should not be looked down upon. And if we really want to achieve SDG Goal 6, we should have this mindset change. Thank you very much.
This would be A+++. Thank you. We enjoyed it. It was very experiential, right? And it shows volunteerism, it shows consistent commitment. We can't stop. If you get into the space, you're contributing, whatever it is you're contributing to the achievement of the SDGs, you must be very consistent. We are going to break the stride a little bit. We have a video for you. Ochiame Kwame is an individual who's also taken it upon himself to go on this path. Let's watch it.
Hi, my name is Ochiame Kwame, and I want to say that a man's environment. Hi, my name is. man's environment is a perfect extension of his thinking. With that said, when people visit where we live, the dirt on the floor, the rubber. Hi, my name is Oshamekwa, and I want to say that a man's environment. Hi, my name is Oshamekwa, and I want to say that a man's environment is a perfect extension of his thinking. With that said, when people visit where we live, the dirt on the floor, the rubber in the sea, and the distraction that we cause farmlands, it is quite easy for them to know who we are. So I think that we all have a big responsibility, a shared responsibility to clean our environment. But first, we need to understand what is happening to our environment first. So I think that the Clean Conference gives all of us the opportunity to learn more about climate change, global warming, environmental degradation, and others, so that we will change our behavior to recreate an environment which is great for our forebears. A wise man once said that we do not inherit the earth from our forebears, we rent it from our unborn children. So as the Clean Conference is moving on, I want to urge all of us, especially the leaders, to use our social media portals and platforms to advocate for a clean environment, for a greener Ghana, and to advocate for a better world for our future. Thank you very much for holding the Clean Conference. It's amazing. I wish I could be there, but I'm in Europe right now on a tour. To see you, and please, I pledge as for Shaman to use all my social media pages, my voice, my face to help recreate the environment
Ochiame Kwame, we thank you. We thank you very much, Ochiame Kwame. We have a presentation by Daryl Bosu, Deputy Director Arocha, coming up next. Please, let's make room. Please, let's clap for him. Very informative. Very informative.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And adhering to all existing protocols, I want to take this opportunity to make this presentation that is going to touch on our rivers and wetland conservation, with particular focus on illegal and irresponsible mining. I believe we all know that for every drop of water that comes from our taps that we serve in our homes, its source is the rivers and the streams and the watersheds that we have. Without the surface rivers, the wells and all of that, there is no way we are going to have access to clean drinking water in good quantities and in good quality. I guess the slides is being controlled from up, so maybe we have an indicator, yes. And one thing I need all of us to know is that as we talk about water, sanitation, and cleanliness, we need to seriously pay attention to our water supply systems, particularly the SDG 6. SDG 6 is all about water provisioning, clean water supply, and wash-related matters. And we cannot do that without acknowledging the important role of Ghana Water Company. Every water abstraction point, water provisioning facility in this country draws a source of water from a stream, from a river. And so we need to ask ourselves, to what extent are we paying attention to these critical ecosystems that we have around us? Without the critical infrastructure of the environment, which is the source of our rivers and our streams and our watersheds, there is no way Ghana Water Company can supply water to us. There is no way the small town and water supply stations can provide water to us. And we must also recognize that without water, a lot of the other SDGs are also going to be seriously impacted. Can we have the next slide? Now, I want to draw your attention to where Ghana used to be before illegal mining and irresponsible mining activities took over our environment. This is the Jimmy Dam before 2016. And just like every river you know, the Prad and Cobra, the Ofin, this was how clean our rivers were. But let me show you. We are in almost 4 years to the end of the Sustainable Development Goals. We've taken 10 years of the Sustainable Development Goal period to really, instead of improving on our water systems, but rather to degrade, to pollute, and make them unwholesome. This is a water treatment facility close to an abstraction point, and just look at the river that is close by it. From something that was very clean, this is now the state of almost every river system that is the source of our drinking water, and from which Ghana Water Company is processing water to serve to our homes. This is certainly not something we can be very proud of as a people and then also as a country. Now, if you go across almost all the major regions, particularly the southern part of the country, it is a common thing to see this particular nature of our rivers. Let's show another one. And if it is not like the one before, you also see a lot of miners now sitting very directly on our river systems and destroying it, forgetting that it is these same rivers that feeds our water abstraction point. Next. Now, the same river, Jimmy, which used to be clean, this is how it looks like now. And according to the CSIR, experts are saying that over 60% of our river basins are now affected by serious activities of mining. So how do we then achieve the outcome of SDG 6 if the very source of a critical infrastructure to make that possible is all being polluted or degraded? Now, it's not only about the change in color or the pollution. It also comes with some additional pollution from heavy metals that has the potential to cause serious health effects. So we talk about the cyanide pollution, the mercury, the sedimentation, and also the destruction of the riparian vegetation that comes along with illegal mining activities. And now, just almost from some few days ago, I was in a meeting with health experts from the Ghana Medical Association, the Pediatric Society, and they are all talking about increasing risks of some of these pollution on children, on women, and even on the general populace. So you are drinking water, the water might even be clean, but I guess you have also heard that Ghana Water Company does not have the capacity to treat the heavy metals that are associated with the pollution that we are seeing right now. Now, with this escalating turbidity and also pollution, it is not just localized. The sad thing is that almost all our major basins are affected. So you see from rivers like the Birim River, the Osino, Kwenyakun, going all the way to the central region, all of these river systems are polluted. From something that used to be very small, 7,000 NTU, 2024, we can now record over 10,000 NTU, and then Birim as well. So it tells you that the situation is dire. One would have expected that we would have taken action to really deal with this. Now, there's another slide that will make you realize how very serious this is. This is a dashboard of almost all the rivers in this country. And the colors represent the indicator of health, groundwater status, human health risks, and pollution levels associated with all our rivers. Anything beyond 2 tells you that our rivers are dying, our rivers are of poor quality, and they are not able to provide us the water provision service of good quality as we expect. If this is the state of the rivers in Ghana, then certainly it doesn't matter how much distribution networks for water we have. For as long as the source is polluted, is not of good quality, then certainly we are not doing well at all with SDG 6. Next slide. This further elaborates to you the water quality index. Apart from the Ofin, which until recently used to be very clean, now almost all our river systems, the Pra, the Kwenyaku, Tano, all of them, look at them, poor water quality. And then also we have what? Grossly polluted. This is data from as early as January 2025. This is not some data set coming from several years before. So currently, these are issues that we are confronted with, and to really ensure that we have sustainable water supply and clean water supply, we need to deal with this situation. Now to talk about the heavy metal contamination, I'm just trying to give us the graphical aspect of the pollution we are confronted with. So it's not about the fact that if you hear CSOs talking about the need for us to deal with water pollution, we're just talking out of no evidence. There is evidence attesting to the fact that the situation is much more dire than what we say on podiums and platforms. This is the actual situation on the ground, and nobody should take this for granted. And as a result, Ghana Water Company says that I cannot treat your water as I used to. I must increase the bill for you. So some people are sitting somewhere, enriching themselves, making money, living large, but for the rest of us, the population, our pockets are being also charged more just because we are asking for clean access to a provision that is our right. So this is something that we all need to take note of. As others pollute the water, Ghana Water Company will keep increasing the bill for all of us, so we pay for it. So in effect, as people are enriching themselves, some of us here in Accra are paying the cost as a result. Now, this is the sad part. We have known about the dire situation of our water for almost a decade now. Somewhere in 2016, even before that, the CSR sounded an alarm, talked about the fact that if we continue mistreating our water bodies, Ghana is going to have to import water. We had that alarm somewhere in 2016. We never did anything about it. We are in 2026. 10 years down the line, our rivers and streams are even worse off than they used to be. I don't think that we can be very progressive if we see the issues and the challenges staring us in the face and refuse to take the bold and decisive actions that we need to take. So the situation has been with us for a long time, but we feel, as we speak, Chebi Treatment Facility has been shut down since the beginning of the year. And there are also several communities who are no longer able to drink from the streams and rivers they used to go and fetch water from because all these rivers are polluted. I was in a community far away somewhere in the Eastern region yesterday, and the community was lamenting that there is only now one small stream that is left unpolluted from the activities of illegal mining. And even with that stream, the miners are putting pressure on them to allow them to go and start digging it. That is how bad the pressure and the threat to our river systems are. Every abstraction point, you are not getting to see the rest of this photo, but the abstraction point for a water treatment facility, the water is very polluted and is contributing also to the problem of increasing costs for the Ghana Water Company. Now, this is providing an outlook of water scarcity. The challenge with Ghana is that we have a lot of streams and rivers. There's the Volta Lake, all the other rivers we are talking about. But when it comes to access to drinking water, we have serious decline in its accessibility. So if you take Ghana in terms of, for example, 2020, per person per year, we're talking about 1,500 cubic meters of water per person per year. But because of the pollution and the way we are mistreating our river systems, we are going to have much less water by that period. The Prayer Basin will certainly also see some scarcity in terms of its water supply to us, the same way with the Densu Basin. And please take note, Densu Basin is what feeds the Weja Reservoir. The Weja Reservoir is what sells most of Accra. So if the Densu Basin is suffering, then of course we are also going to have serious challenges with supplying water to people in Accra. These are the indicators of mining and how mining affects almost every other sector of the economy and our particular SDGs. You know, when water bodies are polluted, women have to travel long distances to get access to water. Even children will have to struggle to get water. And then also our environment is polluted. It increases the cost of service provision. I've already shown you how water company is charging us more to give us water going forward. Now, aside that, water doesn't just come out of space. They come from forest reserves. Critical forest ecosystems that support our water services are also under threat. And now, if you talk about a lot of the forest reserves in this country, 51 of them out of 288 are now completely under pressure from illegal mining. You all practically know about the Atiwa Forest. It's in the eastern region, the source of water for the Birim, Denso, and Ayensu, water for 5 million people. Just last week, serious mining activity going on there, putting the water service of that ecosystem seriously at risk. If Atiwa is gone, then ask yourself, where is Densu going to get its water from? And where is Weja Reservoir getting its water from? That means that our water for most parts of Accra is also going to be affected. There's a problem with governance and rule of law. We need to ensure that we are dealing with the issues of illegal mining and irresponsible mining. Of course, it gives livelihood to certain people, but the question is, at what other cost to all other sectors of the economy? That is why, even though there is activities of NIMOS and all of that, we need to go beyond that and do the needful. These actions need to be sustained. We need to make sure they are more permanent and not one-off activities that leaves us still weak from addressing these challenges. I want to propose a few recommendations. Next slide. Now, these are more a context issue, but let's move on to recommendations just for the benefit of time. So the key recommendations I want to propose here. Our government has always been talking about our forest reserves and water bodies being critical areas also for national security purposes and also critical areas for no mining. Somehow that is not happening. Until we change that and make our rivers, forest reserves, security zones, and no-go mining areas, there's no way we are going to make progress. We heard His Excellency, the Ambassador for Germany, talk about the fact that some rivers used to be polluted in their country, but they are now able to use them. It is the same approach we need to take here as a country. If we change the way we do things, we can turn things around. Until we change the way we do things, there's no way we are going to see any difference in how we are managing our resources. And then also we talked about a riparian zone, buffer zone. There's a policy. We need to see how that can be made into a law so that we can start getting the full benefit of protecting our rivers and the vegetation that protect them. We have also talked about the presidential compact on water. It's about time we look at this. And also we definitely need finance and investment for remediation and also for restoration. We are talking about returning the health of our rivers to what it used to be. We need to turn things around, and we cannot do that just by doing the same old things we are used to. One more slide, and I guess I'll be out of here. There is a need to also look at the illegal mining sector. Government is talking about formalization. It must happen much more quicker than we are seeing it. We cannot all just sit aloof and just be delaying the process. We also need to invest in alternative livelihoods because the absence of jobs is what is also pushing people into some of these illegal activities. Restoration is a must. We must prioritize that. And I want to use this opportunity to say that there's a lot more we can do with addressing whatever challenge we are faced now. We cannot just sit on the fence and pretend that just by talking all the time, not putting the resources where it is needed, we'll see us getting some solutions. So please, it's about time we change the way we do things, and to see solution, we must move forward much more decisively and much more boldly. I end here, and I thank you all very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Daryl Bosu. He is Deputy Director of Arocha, Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for still sitting and being part of this. I promise you the next 20 minutes we're out of here. But respectfully, His Royal Highness Ni Kojo Esrifi Papanyira the First will take leave of us. Say thank you so much for coming. Please, a round of applause for the representative of the Gamanche and his entourage. And okay, and please, as our guest leaves, we can stand and stretch our legs, then we get into the panel discussion right away. In the next 10 minutes, we are done with the panel discussion. So joining me here would have Dr. Rebecca Yandam, Research, Innovation and Development Manager at Zoomlion Ghana Limited. Also, Dr. Gameli Hodofia is Executive Secretary of the Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization, and Atokwam Nasanaya is Vice President of the Coalition of NGOs in Water and Sanitation. Please join me, lady and gentlemen, join me here so we can get right into the panel discussion, and then the next 20 minutes we'll wrap up with the whole program, and then we are out of here. So let's get right into the panel conversation now. Please, can you help me take this off the stage? Okay. So I get I'll be here. Right. Okay, as we're getting the podium off so we can have this conversation, and we're focusing this really on the stance now, looking at private sector, looking at government, and also development partners as we have had here. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. The microphones are by you. Okay, right, so lady, you'd be in the middle for us, right? So you can strain on all of us. Right, fantastic. As you sit there, let me begin from you. Zoomlion Ghana Limited, it's been around for a very long time, a huge stakeholder. How do we solve the situation, the challenges that we're talking about with development partners, with governments? How have you been doing that?
Thank you so much. As he mentioned, my name is Dr. Rebecca Yandam. I lead research, innovations, and development for Zoomlion Ghana Limited. I've been in the industry for almost 2 decades now with Zoomlion. I currently support international business development for the Jospon Group of companies. I would say that Ghana have built a very replicable model when it comes to waste and sanitation that other countries have begun to troop in to learn what we have developed. We have been able to sustain infrastructure in the sector that is able to sustainably manage waste across the multiple value chain. And when we talk about solving the problem with the multiple stakeholders involved, we talk about government, and government comes in several layers. We have the ministerial level, we have local level who are in charge of implementation. We have development partners who are part of our development systems, and then we have the private sector where Zoomlion currently sits. To solve the problem, I would say each of these stakeholders have their roles and responsibilities, which must be clearly demarcated. Government, for instance, According to our policy, private sector is supposed to do the service delivery for up to 80%, and government provide the regulation and the policy. While what development partners should do is to provide a catalytic financing, such that if a private investor needs to invest money, what the development partner needs to do is to catalyze the system to make sure that the investment is de-risked. The combination of these three institutions is where the solution lies. We must work together as partners and not independent institutions.
Right, working together as partners. Doc, so getting the information down and getting the assemblies to understand what the government at the top wants to do when it comes to tackling the challenges and reaching the deadline for 2030, how do we draw in the assemblies? Is it funding? Is it the understanding of the situation on the ground? What really should be done to properly get them to do the work on the ground? Because everybody's now calling on the name of the assemblies. This assembly, they are not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Thank you very much. So when we take sanitation, waste, the environment, it's the responsibility of the local governments. There's an honorable MMDC here. They really, by law, right, and by policy, to take charge at local level. Now, in our decentralization reform agenda, we have taken pains to try and clarify the various roles and responsibilities at the various levels, so that we say that at the national level institutions would focus on policy formulation, monitoring, and evaluation only, without dovetailing down to go and be doing implementation. At the regional level, is the level of deconcentration, so they're doing it on behalf of central government, so they would offer coordination. So regional ministers, you know, really, you shouldn't see a regional minister going out and bulldozing stuff and doing the work that MMDC should be doing. Now, at the MMDA level is really where the action is. By law and by policy, it's their responsibility to lead the charge when it comes to how we deal with issues of sanitation, the environment. And so His Excellency, the President, is very clear that we must empower the local governments to be able to do this. Now, there's a big role for us as citizens to play in that conversation. The MMDAs are meant to lead the conversation by mobilizing local people. You and I, where we live, that's essentially what we mean by decentralization, power in our hands to be able to transform our localities. And the idea is that you have a say, I have a say, the local governments and the civil servants or the public servants who work within that setup would shepherd us to be able to deliver on that responsibility. And so if your local government is not doing it, you have to really hold a fire to them. And that is why government has made sure that when it comes to the MMDC's performance contracts, sanitation is at the center of it, right? So in terms of a broad framework.
Sorry, I'd have to use the ATO. So just to know that I'm giving each panel member 2 minutes, and then the next one will be 1 minute, and then we can wrap it up. You know the situation now. ATO, with you, the NGOs, when it comes to sanitation, when it comes to the SDG goals that Ghana is driving towards, are there challenges you're facing in, you know, trying to get things done?
All right, thank you. Yeah, in contributing to achieving the SDGs, the country, we have done a lot and we've come far. The SDO fraternity has contributed in supporting government to putting up policies. We have recent policies for water, recent policy for sanitation, which we are hoping would go through cabinet soon. The NGO fraternity supporting government have put together a program. Now, out of that program, we've been able to estimate what we need as a financial push, shared among all partners. What we are seeing is that over the period, as part of our commitment, we've tracked how much investment is going into the various sectors. Okay. Government is doing well with the direction of 10% to water, 10% to sanitation at the district level. However, we are just doing about 10% from government investment, 10% of what we need as a yearly investment of $1.7 billion a year to be able to reach the SDG. This is something we think is a huge challenge as we conversate around all the things that needs to be done. This is something that government needs to pay attention to. It's good money has gone to the district to focus on water and sanitation. We are encouraging the MMDAs to also use their own IGF to support what government has committed. However, the capital investment needs to happen so that we can pay for contract providers, we can pay for performance by the private sector, then also catalyze investment as she suggested.
Right. My next question, final one to you, be when you talked about policy, I was looking at everybody's face because we have become a country with a lot of policy, framework, paper, book, everything is in there. But as to the actual drive towards it, from a stakeholder like you, what would you say in a minute about policy and going or making sure that that policy is worked on and achieved?
So as civil society, I think we have used several years to demonstrate on the ground what needs to happen. There are several pilot projects, there are several pilot demonstrations that has been done over the years. And we have maintained that it is time to scale. There's enough lessons, there is enough strategies. Other countries, other people in the sub-region are using our documents and trying to excel. We've showcased tools, we've showcased several approaches which others have picked and are working with. It's about time to let our pilots speak. In Greater Accra region, through a recent program, about more than 30,000 households toilets were constructed. What is the lesson from that? How do we advance that? To end, I would say open defecation can end. We need to end open defecation. If there is any commitment that we need to make, government should put its shoulder behind ending open defecation. That's the only way we can show that the people voting for us are dignified, and we respect that and recognize that.
Right. Doc, for all of us here, especially for our MC who is here and his colleagues, what should they do so that by 2030, we would have said that we've tried and we are nearly close to the target that was set and with the SDG goals?
Thank you very much. I just thought to add a few more things from the policy perspective. Right. So we currently, Cabinet recently approved a national decentralization policy and strategic framework. And in there, we identified, during the consultations, we did a bottom-up approach, realized that we do not have a waste management department, for instance, in the municipalities and the districts. We have it at the metro level. And so one of the policy measures that we are taking forward is the creation of that department so that there's that focus at the local
waste
level.
Management department.
Yes. Now, before coming here, I was coming from Sugakokwe, where a panel is in place working on a new Local Governance Act. And in there, we have that department created. So that's tangible action for you. That will be in Parliament. In the same way, environmental health units. Previously, they were just units at the local level. Now we thought to upgrade those units into environmental health and sanitation departments. That also created in law so that there's ample amplification of that responsibility in moving and mobilizing the local level. We talk about the resources that are going down. Since we started the DACF about 30 years ago, about 16 billion Ghana cedis was transferred to the local level. But in 2025 alone, about 7 billion of resources went down. And in there's a huge chunk for sanitation. So a lot more is being done and would be done. In 2026, for instance, the Common Fund formula has about 93% of direct resources that would go to the local level. In the same way, we have a certain process we call the DEPA, that's the District Performance Assessment Tool process. In there, we have put in place indicators that would hold local people and MMDCs more accountable. Now, it's a carrot, it's a situation where it's performance-based, so we want to encourage them to do more at the local level,
Okay.
so that they get more money to be able to deliver more for local people and to be able to shape, and develop the Ghana that we all want together,
Okay.
as far as sanitation and waste management is concerned.
Right, MC, you're jotting it. Okay, fine. So he said all that you have said. He'll tell his colleagues also. Let me wrap up with you. That is Dr. Yandam from Zoom Lion. The task is huge. Towards 2030, what can you promise us you can do in helping Ghana achieve these goals?
Thank you so much. As I mentioned earlier, Ghana have developed a good model that can be emulated, and we have demonstrated that the challenge is solvable. And private sector is well positioned, particularly in Ghana, to handle the problem of sanitation. What we need here is partnership. Partnership from the government to provide the political stability, to provide the good regulation. What we need from the local assemblies is good partnership to monitor what we do. The standards needs to be set. Without standards, you cannot monitor performance. And he mentioned now it's on performance basis. So we need clear standards against which private sector performance would be measured, against which payments will be justified. With all these and the role of development partners and my colleague here, the NGO, by the way, I'm one of you also. I run the Solid Waste Association of Ghana, which is also an NGO. Yes, so what we do is to do a good advocacy. We have technical expertise that we can contribute to for policy formulation. It's one thing we need is collaboration. We have the men, like the presidents mentioned recently. We have the men, we have the knowledge, we have the technology. We have started exporting technology and human resource from the Jospon Group. We are currently operating in several countries. And this demonstrates that, yes, we have the workable model, we have something to replicate, and what we need now is partnership from every one of us to solve the challenge. Thank you.
Right, so what we need now is partnership from all of us, and that includes you. That includes you. That includes your daughter, your son, your brother, your mother. All of us together, we can make this. So please, a round of applause for my panel members for this session. Dr. Rebecca Yandam is Research, Innovation and Development Manager at Zoom Lion Ghana Limited. Also, we heard from Dr. Gameli Hodofia is Executive Secretary, Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization. And also, Ato Kwamna Senaya is Vice President of the Coalition of NGOs in Water and Sanitation. I am Desmond Okrekudan. So my co-host, Dr. Sumeni, will take over from here. And as I mentioned, in just a few minutes, we'll be out of here. Thank you so much, panel members. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello, how are we? Thank you. I want to applaud all of you. As for today, right now, I want to grade you for all the people who are patiently sitting. Is there anything beyond A+++? What's beyond that? Because that's what I'm giving you. We are just going to have, EP, Environmental Protection Agency. They are very heavily invested in this battle on sanitation and all the issues that we couldn't have had a program like this without having a point of view from them. Although the next panel, and next and last panel, would give us, we have the former executive director on it, we need to hear from Mr. Joy Hesse. He's the Deputy Director, Human Settlement Unit, EPA, and he's promised to deliver in 4.7? Okay, and then we are grading you. But please, this is very important. If you don't take anything away with you, EPA's message.
The presentation. Thank you very much. So I'll try in my presentation to summarize most of the things that has been said, coming from the angle of pollution, because the topic I was given was industrial pollution and domestic pollution. We've identified most of the pollution sources from various presenters. We have the point source, some factories, you can see Ghana Gas there emitting when they flare. Diffusion sources are runoffs from our waste management and sewer systems. This can also be classified under acute and chronic. Chronic, some of the air emissions from our vehicles. Then the media that it affects, we know, is air, water, soil. There are emerging pollution factors which are classified based on the nature of the pollutant. Our churches, our religious bodies are normally associated with noise. We have the light pollution where we have reflective materials. We have thermal and plastic. Some of these are also e-waste as part of some of these. All these are linked to our human activities as we try to develop as a nation. They are very complex. We have industrial and manufacturing, air emissions, effluent and hazardous waste normally associated with that. Let's go to our local government. Open burning has become an issue, which is direct to humans. We have traffic emission from urbanization and population growth. We all want to own a car. What type of diesel, what type of fuel are you using? Is it polluting? Waste management system, we've talked a lot about it. When we look at our block drains, flooding, open burning, groundwater contamination, energy and transport as well, the releases of GHG gases, ozone depletion gases. These are some examples. Let's go to the next slides. These are typical pictures taken. We've already seen the Galamsey issues, informal settlement or squat slums areas. Because of the lack of services, they find places to cause pollution. Typical example, waste management treatment systems. When it's open and it rains, they can overflow and pollute. Our famous "not in my backyard," the landfill sites, is becoming an issue. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah, industrial activities can also cause a lot of these pollutants out. Sediments, we talked about abattoirs. We are not looking at that as well. Pathogens being released into the atmosphere. E-waste, landfills, coming out with methane, odor, mercury, and other things. Our cement factories, or they come out with PMs, the particulate matters, they make noise, VOCs from our filling stations and petroleum product as well. All these leads to human health issues as already mentioned by several presenters. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah, domestic is not being left out. Our domestic activities can also put a lot of loads in the system, in the environment. Open burning, discharge of sewage water treatment systems, poor septic systems, improper e-waste disposal, excessive noise, littering at the coastal areas. We know of the marine plastic issues. All these are causing a lot of pollution, but they have consequences, as we can see there. A lot can lead to flooding, groundwater pollution, stresses, sleep disturbance, marine pollution. It harms ourselves and also wildlife as well. Poisoning, soil contamination. Let's go to the next. But Ghana has a law, or there are laws and environment that helps safeguard us. And these are few of them. There are a lot of them. You know, the EPA Act has now been broadened to include pesticides, even climate issues, because these are all linked. So we are now an authority, not an agency. There are other key regulations and standards that helps us to regulate these emissions. And some of them are the environmental assessment regulations, which looks at things from the developmental project view. We have the hazardous and electronic waste regulations. So now we have dismantling sites, proper way of dismantling your electronic waste. Air quality, which regulates the emissions from vehicles and others. We have the effluent discharge, especially for waste treatment facilities. We also have the ambient and stack emissions law, also by the industries and factories that have stack emissions too. All these are there for people to comply. Therefore, we need to enforce. when we take the Public Health Act, a lot of the domestic consequences can be cured through this act. When we take Land Use and Spatial Planning Act, when it comes to how we zone to prevent, all these are pollution control measures. A lot was also said about the hierarchy of waste. We should focus more to the apex, the tip. Elimination is better. Substitute of hazardous waste material with safer alternative. You know, currently the EPA has banned the use of styrofoams, which will take effect in 2027. These are some of the pragmatic measures being taken. Reduction is also very key. If you use excess, more will come out. The more that serves as an input, the more output comes out. So you have to be efficient when it comes to reuse. Reuse, recycling, before you consider other options like treatment, safe disposal, and if there are remediation or restoration method, you look at it. So this waste hierarchy or prevention hierarchy has been there for ages. It's just, as we all know, action. We need to enforce this. Let's go. Yes, therefore, enforcement principles and processes are very, very important. We need to identify by inspection complaints. You need to complain to the public institution so that they can face on these things. Self-monitoring reports. We need to verify these things. We need to sample. We need to look out for the pathways for confirmations. We need to compare these findings against the standards and regulations we've set for ourselves. Then we can take the corrective action. If not, then we move into punitive measures using the law, prosecution, and others. Yes. 5 areas for credible inspection. We need to move from that picture to a good system. That is all. Let's go. All this is a shared responsibility. We talked about that. Everybody must be involved. Industry, household, communities, MMDAs, regulators. Thank you. I need to end here.
You have to clap for him. This one is self-regulation. I like the fact that he said, thank you, I need to end here. Thank you very much, EPA. You've done a good job. We have a last, most interactive session. Please indulge me. Nobody should leave. I'll be looking out for you. This panel, I'm moderating myself. It's going to talk about all the necessary things we need to take with us. And I'm going to invite the panelist here, Dr. Henry Kokofu. He's the former CEO of EPA. Let's clap for him. Oh, drama. You are the last one standing. Yeah. Yes. Doc, you're welcome. Next, we have Heneba Kwejosafo, founder and leader of Basta Boys. Basta Boys. Oh, Heneba, it's like you be slow small. Because they are cleaning everywhere. You see, his energy is down. Let's clap for him. Let's clap for him. We have Mr. Yao Ata Ahin, Wash Technical Specialist, World Vision Ghana. One more chair. Okay, I'm going to give up my seat. We have Mr. Asamening God's Way. He's Chairman, Council of Elders, Bola Taxi. And then last but not the least, we have Mr. Ibrahim Musa, Head of Strategy, Policy and Campaigns, Water Aid Ghana. Please come have a seat. Please come have a seat. Gentlemen, it looks like I'm still the Lone Ranger here. SDG 5. Gender inclusion. Yes. I'm going to ask a few questions because of time, but I promise you, it's going to be most exciting. This panel is focusing on the everyday realities of water and sanitation access for households, communities, and schools. I welcome you all, gentlemen, to this panel. Right. We would throw the questions in and out. You give your take. It may not necessarily follow one after the other so that we can make up for time. The first that we are going to address, so Ghana has made strong progress on getting water into households. Everybody agrees with that, even that. But open defecation and poor sanitation remain stubborn problems. Why does sanitation lag so far behind water access, and whose responsibility is it to close that gap? Government, communities, or the private sector? Please, who's going to take up the first for me?
All right, thank you very much. I think moving straight to the point, the responsibility lies with all of us as a country. Government has its part to play in terms of financing, ensuring that the needed financing is provided. The regulations and policies have been already talked about. But the citizenry also have a bigger share of the responsibility. How do we change our attitude to ensure that we manage waste, not treat waste as waste, but now waste is a resource? How do we go through and ensure that that is done? The private sector, like the big boys, Zoom Lion and Co., will have their own responsibility to take, and the traditional authority, the religious authority who are represented here. So all coming together, I think we can move the Ghana sanitation story towards 2030 as we progress. Thank you.
Well, I would say there are two things for me. And for me, the number one is prioritization. As a country, we haven't prioritized sanitation enough. And we have tended to treat it as an afterthought. And we think that it's not something that we should pay attention to. We have not financed it. We have not built the necessary infrastructure and all that. And then secondly, for me, Ghana does not have a sanitation problem it cannot solve. Ghana just have a national sanitation conscience which has been allowed to sleep and almost dead. And I think that what we need to do from here is to reawaken the nation's sanitation conscience. Once we do that and everybody comes on board, I think we should get far. Finally, let me say that behavior change is key. It's not an infrastructure issue only. And I think as a country, we need to launch a comprehensive, sustained behavior change communication strategy which will carry all citizens along. And once that happens, then sanitation will improve at all levels.
Right, thank you. Dr. Kokofu, you want to take a bite at this?
Yeah, thank you very much. All said and done, we have been saying that cleanliness is next to godliness. However, we decide not to do so. You just put anything anywhere and think it is somebody's responsibility to take care of that. Sundays, you'll be going to churches well dressed up and make sure the body is so clean, yet our environment, we decide not to take care of that. So just as the last speaker said, behavioral change. We need to change our mindsets. We go to other jurisdictions, other countries, and a hospital, clean, a real crowd enough. Yet he or she comes home and start throwing things around. Let us catch them young. We, the older generation, might have failed ourselves because the systems might have failed us. So the younger ones come in, those in schools, the primary schools, the SHS up to the university level, we should take the message straight to them so we can inculcate the habit of cleanliness in them as they grow up. It's very bad to see that what God told us to do, we've deviated. God asks us to take dominion over all things that He has created. And that's natural resources and the environment we find ourselves in. We decided to learn very hard to become the doctors, the engineers, the lawyers, yet we've decided not to abide by God's admonition to us to protect and safeguard the very environment that sustains us. So I can see my clergy, respected clergy around. It is a responsibility to take it to the congregation. I can see also students who are here up and coming. don't follow us. We have failed ourselves. We failed the nation. Our generation have failed because the system failed us. So you, the up and coming, the youth coming, pledge to yourselves that we will succeed. We want to do something different. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you. I want us to, on the note of the next generation, I have a good question here about the school toilet nobody wants to talk about. And so studies consistently show that inadequate school sanitation drives absenteeism, especially for girls once they start menstruating. If we know this, why do so many Ghanaian schools still lack functional toilets or hand washing facilities? Is this a funding problem, a maintenance problem, or a priority problem?
Again, for me, it is prioritization. It comes back to the same word. Because we haven't prioritized sanitation enough, we think that the school infrastructure is enough. The classrooms, the slates, the chalks, the pens are enough. But it is not. We forget to remember that sanitation creates the conducive environment for academic excellence. And you can have a research and link the two. Wherever sanitation is poor and children struggle to access toilet facilities, academic performance is poor. But one thing I must be quick to add is this, that for sanitation, the institutional arrangements, for me, are weak. Take the ministry, and from the ministry to the field, there is no operational agency for sanitation. And so when the policies are developed, who takes them and implements them? Let's go to Ministry of Health. You have the ministry, and then you have Ghana Health Service. You have Ambulance Authority, you have Blood Authority, you have HEFRA. Name all the authorities that you can find. When you come to the sanitation subsector, there is not even one. And how do you expect such a structure to succeed? Beyond creating the ministry, it's also important that we establish the necessary operational agencies to be able to implement sanitation across board. Once that does not happen, there will continue to be that missing link.
Okay.
And it will become nobody's business. I
would want Heneba to also take a bite at this, because you've been everywhere. Let's get your thoughts on this.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
First of all, I want to go back to the headline of the conference.
Yes.
Assessing Ghana's progress towards the United Nations Development Goals. And I'll say that I've sat here the whole time, and I think the topic has not been exhausted. I think by now we should be assessing in a way that we look at what has been done wrong, what we couldn't achieve, who failed what, then we can assess the system properly. So that whoever leaves here go home with something that each and every one of us can do. Obviously, the foundation of all our sanitation problem is either being hidden deliberately or we just want to ignore it. The foundation of all our sanitation problems, and of course, the Ghanaian problem is the mindset. We are talking about all the grammar. In 5 years, in 3 years, less than 3 years, sanitation or the SDGs will go to an end. And there is no amount of grammar that can excuse our failure in the next 3-4 years. So what we need deliberately is begin to put actions in place. And that is what I didn't get out of this conference.
Right. Thank you very much. He's brought us on track. We are assessing our progress. And so it's important that we keep looking back and then looking forward. A bit of the dichotomy must be addressed. Yes, Dr. Kofu.
Thank you very much. I remember in 2024, during our policy discussions, and Water Aid had started on getting sanitation authority. I think it's more necessary now than ever. Now that we've scrapped the Ministry for
Sanitation.
Water and Sanitation. The sanitation authority is very key. But then, very important. Systemic failure, and we are unable to really address the problem to the core. We fail at the policy level. So even putting in place an authority in itself does not make the solution. But policies that work, we do have lots of them that do not work. EPA was here, and during my time in office, we recognized that the old law, the Environmental Protection Agency Act 490 of 1994, was actually not working. It was 50 years of wasted time. That piece of legislation did not have the bite. So we decided to change the law altogether. Indeed, we are trying to do some amendments, and at the cabinet subcommittee level, defending it, I propose that we do an entire law. And today we do have EP Act 1124 of 2025. What it means is that the new law do have some bite. As we speak today, EPA is a quasi-security institution that can arrest, it can cause arrest and prosecute on its own by fiat from the Attorney General's office. So the application of law must work. Once we put the policies there, the enforcement of the law must work. And we must, as a matter of agency, prioritize the enforcement of laws, making things where people get punished. When you talk about sanitation, the toilets, and all the financial gap has always been an issue. And in the environmental space, the basic principle is the PPP, polluter pays principle.
Yeah.
So how much are you ready to pay as you cause all these things? And nobody wants to pay. The very few people who do have this public-private attendance areas, it is a fight all over the place. So we need to prioritize, we need to find money as a state, consciously put in there, invest in the infrastructure in order to get these things right.
Right, but I would want to come in, my brother, you would take this one. You know, we talk about infrastructure, we talk about infrastructure, financing gap, and all of that. We could put in all the infrastructure, but the question is the behavioral change. What are we to do? Is it just the missing link of infrastructure, adequate infrastructure, I must add, or you could have all of that? Because I've been in development for some time, and you could have people defecating around a toilet facility. So, how was that? Could you give us an idea about that?
Right,
I'm sorry, it's a difficult one, but.
So, I think with the aspects you mentioned that the infrastructure could be provided, yet people defecate around, I think that will have to do with behavioral attitude or whatsoever. Now, there are many instances where these infrastructures are provided, but one thing I realized which push people away from using the infrastructure is that after a few months, this infrastructure is no longer accessible. In most cases. Some of the public toilets, in fact, they look so bad that for you to even use it, you prefer, going to the bush. So these are some of the challenges. So we have the mindset, to some extent, we are intentional. We know the problem, and we are like, okay, this is our challenge. Why don't we handle it? But along the way, we miss commitment. Sorry, that is the missing link. The commitment, it's no longer there. So to make funds available, to maintain such infrastructures, they are not being made available.
Okay, I'm going to put a question to all of you. It would go around systematically so that we get your view. And you wanted to say something before the last?
Yeah,
okay.
No, I was just saying that also with respect to this, we very need to be mindful of the equity issues.
Yes.
Equity issues are very critical in any development strategy.
Yeah.
Who are those at the margin of society? You very much hammered on the issue of schools.
Yes.
I mean, in the rural areas, how are schools performing with respect to access to decent toilet? When the girl child goes to school and she's in her menses, how does she cope? Because when the exam questions are said, it will not exclude that she missed school for 5 days. And so Amma has not to answer this question, and Kofi was in school has to answer this question. So school infrastructure, including sanitation, must make provision for girls who will naturally respond to natural issues such as menstruation and are able to stay in school, have decent changing rooms to be able to cope with decent school environment.
Fantastic, fantastic. Let's clap on that before we go for our last round of questions. This question is the last and it's part of the reason why we are here. The 2030 reality check. That's how I'm framing the question. So with 2030 only a few years away, if we are honest with this audience, is Ghana actually going to meet SDG 6 targets, or should we be talking about a realistic Plan B timeline? What would you tell a policymaker who is still publicly promising 2030?
Thank you very much. I think to be really realistic, as far as sanitation is concerned, both liquid waste and solid waste, Ghana, we are really struggling. Just that the recent policy measures government has taken, for instance, the 10% common fund that the president has directed MMDCs to actually implement, if it is actually invested well and mobilize private sector to leverage blended financing to this, I mean, we can cover some grounds.
Right.
So private financing such as the big boys, Zoom Lion, and even the smaller ones, the tricycle operators who can come into partnership with the big boys, you know, and other PPP arrangements, it can really take us far. I mean, other NGOs can partner, but also central to this is the role of religious and traditional rulers, because they also have significant populations behind. How are they going to support government to push the last mile in the last 4 years? Then the development community can come with post-2030. Then that we can be able to strategize and catch up. But I still also say that in all these, equity issues should be central in our discussion. Who are not having toilet? How can we reach them? How can we develop strategies that can cover those who are at the margins of society? Thank you.
Right. It's a collective effort. It's a collective effort. My brother, please take it.
Yeah, thank you. Now, I want to be realistic.
Yes.
Are we close to achieving? No.
So we need a plan B?
We need a plan B.
What does that plan B look like?
Accra here, do we have a landfill site in Accra here? We don't. Which of our landfills are properly engineered? I'm not sure we do have. So are we close? No.
I think we have. I think Jospon has something, but you go on. Yeah.
Something. You just said something, but
a major thing.
So sure. You see, now it's a realistics. How is this affecting the life of the people around us, the family, the children who go to school, the family, the community members? They are the ones. When you talk to them, then they'll tell you the reality of where we are.
Yeah.
And it looks like we are not even close with all the presentation we have. Where's our water? Do we have water? No. No water. Which means that we are nowhere close. And I heard someone saying that, they were coming for a water bill, and then the man was fighting with the officer. That's the reality you are saying.
Yeah.
So are we close? No.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Hiniba?
Thank you. I think we are nowhere close, and in order to whether get close or not, we need to first of all be honest with ourselves and assess the issue from the bottom. It seems we know our problems, but when it comes to how exactly we deal with our problems, they want to play around it. Ghana will be 70 years in the next 7 months. Let's forget about the SDGs. Ghana is turning 70. The reality on the grounds. As we speak, we talk about the Celtic and Nakoli, but the gutters that are connected to Nakoli are coming with filth. Whether do we go with achieving 2030 SDGs in 3 years? It is not possible. So we need a plan B and a possible plan C. A lot of young people are in this room unemployed. What is the best way to really put these guys in charge of their communities, give them the necessary resources so they deal with their problem from source? Then it makes it the better way forward. Because for me, as I sit here, what we do as Pastor Boys, I can honestly tell you, without fear or favor, that we are nowhere close getting to the sanitation problem. As we speak, the mindset, which is the origin of all the problem, we are not tackling it. We have community police who are assisting police in arresting drivers. They are supposed to go in the communities, educate the people, and that is the foundation to which we can work getting close to the sustainable development. In this room, everybody have a bottled water. Let's see how many of them will carry their bottled water when they are leaving. So the mindset is the core foundation of every human problem. And until we get there and follow it with honesty, and the fact that 100 years from now, nobody will be in this room, everything we are talking about is going to be about history. And therefore, we need to be honest with ourselves to the core and deal with the foundation. Now, among the many water bodies that gives us dignity, that gave us respect, and nothing to write home about. But we go to out elsewhere and we appreciate River Now. River Now is equal as now Kwale. So we should begin to deal with the issues to the root. Put partisanship aside, whether NPP or NDC, whatever we experienced on 29 June, the flag was not asking for party cards.
Right.
Let's find a way to deal with our issues and deal with it in honesty.
Thank you. Very passionate. We need that passion moving forward. Dr. Kokofu, please.
Yes, related to your last question.
Yes, assessing our progress, or we need a plan B.
Yes. Then you asked, giving the infrastructure and everything.
Yes. Behavioral.
Yeah, that is in discipline as it is. And we've moved away from our core values, the traditional way of thinking, the indigenous knowledge that identifies us as a people. You go to our smaller cities, our smaller towns and villages, and people behave properly and well because Odikru, Betimi Amaya Frel, Naya Kamiso, they call communal labor to do the cleaning and all that. That point of thing. We deviated from, and we call it any way, and all that. And the politics of it, just as he said, has worsened the situation. Everything in this country has been so much politicized that the politician is looking at his chances of winning the elections. Yes, I'm a political animal, but then my professional instincts does not allow me to be looking at the politics of it alone. So, in all honesty, we haven't reached, we can. 2030, you will be able to get to the SDG 6 and then 3. All the time, R3 to 6.
Yes.
Because they go together.
Yeah.
We cannot, and we are not even thinking of getting there. What we need to do is to have a nationalistic outlook as to the problem. How best we can utilize the human resource base that we do have. We have a very large youthful population that are ready, able, and prepared to work. Why don't we find a way to get them to work in these sanitation spaces? So, finding solutions.
Yeah.
We must be more practical than talking and thinking the empty promises that will be given on the platforms. We need to get to work as soon as possible.
Thank you very much. And our last but not least.
Thank you very much. For me, I think we can't take things for granted anymore. I think that the task ahead of us is so big that we need to commit all our energies. Open defecation rate at 17.7%, water at 87.7%, toilet facilities in our households. Only 25.3% have that. So the rest don't have a toilet facility. 25% of all public basic schools don't have a toilet facility and affects academic excellence. When it comes to solid waste, we generate in excess of 7.5 million tons of waste every day, every year. And yet, very little is recycled. And I believe that we should be able to support the waste management companies, the service providers, to be able to deliver. They have the resources, they have the capacity, and they have the expertise. But for me, leadership is key. And I think that leadership must act. And I'm happy that the president has made sanitation a key performance indicator. But beyond becoming a key performance indicator, I think we need to also track performance. Yes. Assess the MMDCs. Not just assess, but reward those who are doing well and punish those who are not performing. If we begin to do that, people will begin to sit up and work. Finally, I think that we need to treat sanitation as a major contributor to job creation, and not just the sector that only takes away from the consolidated fund.
Yeah.
Sanitation can create jobs. Sanitation can become a big contributor to the economy, and I think we should look at it that way. Finally, let's prioritize and show commitment as a country and make sanitation a national development priority. That is the way to go. Thank you.
Right. I want to say a big thank you to you all. I would want to give a little summary. My co-host, I would want to call you now. I'll give a summary. This is nuggets of all that we've listened to today, after which our CEO, the MD for Ignite Media, will come and give a closing statement, and thank you all. Please, yes, so gentlemen, I want to say thank you. I promised you a very practical panel, didn't I? I think it's been good. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please, another round of applause for them. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Right.
And you know, Heneba has thrown a challenge, and we'll see if it works. Yeah. So after the closing prayer, and we're stepping out, we'll see those who take along the bottles.
Yeah.
Mose, okay, we'll
right.
take that.
So I will go through a few nuggets, a summary of all the discussions that we've had. For those who came in late, you've missed, but you can take something with you. So government alone, from all the discussions, we know government alone cannot solve all the problems. Private sector has a role to play. We need to strengthen partnerships with private sector and industry players to improve transport, recycling, disposal, and all of that. The second is religious leaders, civil society, media have a critical role to play in changing attitudes. Cleanliness, they say, is next godliness. Greater emphasis on reuse, recycling, and recovery. With the right investment, waste can become a tool, a resource. Then we should enhance and embrace a simple but powerful principle, which is a clean Greater Accra is a shared responsibility. The collectiveness of our behaviors and of our efforts has been said over and over. I have summarized a little bit of what Honorable Baja said. Please permit me 5 points of what you said. The first is prevention. Reduce amount of waste generated and prevent indiscriminate disposal. The second is collection. Ensure reliable, effective waste collection across our communities. The third, recovery, promote recycling, composting, and recovery. Reduce pressure on resources. Then there's enforcement. Sanitation laws and bylaws must be respected. Then the last, behavioral change. Infrastructure alone will not solve our sanitation problem if our attitude doesn't change. Finally, stronger coordination is needed. Now, we also need better data. I think that all the decisions that we have to make must be evidence-based. So on that note, it's been myself and my co-host.
Yes, Doc, and the one from Ohineba, Ohineba Kwejusafu says that we know our problems, but when it comes to dealing with them, we play around. And it's not possible to achieve the 2030 SDG goals. So let me try. Will we be able to achieve it?
We need the data.
Yes or no? Hey, you are simple. So
but
the
we can try.
No, right? Then
we
there's
can
a lot
try.
on all of us in government to make sure that as soon as possible, we find a plan B or plan C and make this work. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. At this point, Doc, let me acknowledge our sponsors and partners. Please, our number one partner for today is you, who came here, who showed up. Please, a round of applause for yourself. Thank you so much for coming. And a big thank you to Bell Beverages. Bell Beverages, thank you so much for supporting us. And as you can see here, the EPA, UNICEF, the NGO Watch Forum, BNFT, Ghana Water Company, ESPA, World Health Organization, WashNet, Graphic Group, Women and Leadership, Climate Africa, and Security. And also, this is the African Development Fund. Yes, thank you to all of you for supporting this amazing program here to assess our progress. We know now there's much more that we need to do. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take our closing remarks and we'll call on the MD for the Ignite Media Group, Klaus von Backenstein, to do that for us. We'll take the closing prayer and then we're out of here.
Thank you, MCs. Of course, we spent too much of your time, so I'm going to be very brief. Thank you all for coming. And Ohiniba said something which is very touching. It is the mindset, the behaviors. Somehow, when we travel and go to countries where the laws are enforced, we do the right things. When we come back here, then we start misbehaving. What it means is that we will put pressure on the system to enforce the laws. All of us have that role to play. The law enforcers should enforce the law. There's a reason why when we go to our villages, we find them very clean. Where I come from, if you drop anything on the ground, you'll be called upon to pick it up. The women sweep the market every Saturday because we believe that our environment is our own environment, and so it must be clean. Ohiniba is also worried that there was no action, there was no discussion on actions. This is just the beginning. The conversations will continue on our platforms. Currently, we have a program that runs on Fridays. It's called the Clean Report, 1 p.m. on Metro TV. So every week, we're going to be engaging stakeholders on the actions that we need to take and monitor the progress. So we can assure you that this is just the beginning. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much, Klaus von Backenstein. At this point, I just want to share a reminder. So you saw the documentary that we played earlier. That was just snippets. Tonight at 8 p.m. on Metro TV, we'll bring to you a full documentary of that on Metro TV. The documentary that was played earlier, where my colleagues went to town to assess how we're doing on the grounds. So tonight, 8 p.m., do join us on Metro TV for that full documentary. And of course, follow us also on Metro TV, Ghana, Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok, on X, also DSTV channel 277. Same for Original TV on all platforms, Original 91.9 FM, and of course on Metro Digital, also www.metrotvonline.com. We'll take the closing prayer, and then right after that, the cultural troupe would close us, but there's an exhibition outside also, so you could just pass through and grab something for yourself from the exhibitors. And because we've kept you here, we've got something nice for you outside also. So let me call on Reverend Amuzu once more. Okay. Rev, my very good. Please, let's appreciate it from the Christian Council.
Okay, so I'm thanking Christian Council of Ghana also for the massive support. You should have thanked us, right? Yes, so we offered massive support. Donated books, and you can't work on mindset without, feeding the people with the right stuff. Thank you very much. Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you for the brilliant idea to put this conference together. The United Nations gave us strategic development goals for all member countries. And we have just discussed that, Lord, we are far behind. But we believe that all things are possible with you. So, Lord, beyond this conference, help us to continue to work collaboratively to implement all the ideas, and non-states should come together to push hard so that by 2030, we'll have a good story to tell ourselves and the rest of the world. But as we live here, we're not living your loving and gracious oversight. Go with us. Stay with us. Let us continue to show our commitment to taking care of the environment you have given us. So by so doing, we will write the negative history that we have made of ourselves. To you be all the glory and praise for what you have done through the Ignite Media. We thank you and bless you in the mighty name of Christ Jesus our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. And the World Vision Ghana says they've put together a Bible, sanitation Bible. Yeah, something like that. And so Christian Council of Ghana, they are ready to partner with you to continue with the education. Thank you. Thank you very much. I am Desmond Okrekudan, host of Good Afternoon Ghana on Metro TV. It's been a pleasure being your MC together with
Dr. Abdul. We've served you today. Thank you very much for staying.
Thank you very much. Do connect network with someone. The cultural troop will take us away. Bye-bye.